A Santa Barbara judge has sentenced Jesse James Hollywood to life in prison without the possibility of parole after denying his request for a new trial. Hollywood was found guilty of first-degree murder in July. Prosecutors say he planned the kidnapping and killing of 15-year-old Nicholas Markowitz back in August of 2000. It was all over a drug debt owed by the teen's half-brother. 30-year-old Hollywood had faced the death penalty, but jurors recommended a life sentence instead. Now, the case inspired the 2007 movie Alpha Dog, starring Justin Timberlake. Hollywood's attorneys claimed he did not have a fair trial because of that pretrial publicity. 4 others were convicted in the case.
Investigators say his old friends, including Ryan Hoyt and Jesse Rugge, were now his employees.
He was able to manipulate them and feel powerful as the head of a kind of a small-scale little drug cartel.
What's up, everybody? Big Herc getting down fresh out. Hopefully you subscribe by now, you're supporting, because you know we bring you guys the dopest interviews. And today I got a very special guest. I got a friend here named Jesse. No introduction really needed, but if you've seen the movie Alpha Dog, you're familiar a little bit about his story. But this guy's been through a lot. He brings a lot of value, to his story, and it's a pleasure being able to sit down with him and have a conversation. So I'm gonna let him kind of, tell you guys a little bit, bring you up to speed on where he's from, how he grew up, and a little background on him.
Yeah, hi everybody. Grew up in San Fernando Valley. Come from a great family, come from a beautiful family and everything else, and grew up there. And parents divorced when I was 11, the typical broken part of that family type thing, and then kind of started my journey into growing apart from that reality of life, I guess, in that sense.
So, after your parents divorced, did you kind of look outside the household to try to find things to gravitate to, as far as guys in the hood or people to relate to? Because I know that's one of the things I did.
Yeah, I think I went more skater, surfer type style growing up, and got caught up in the scene of selling pot, and coming from that whole scene, just to make a dollar bill, you do it. It didn't matter. It's like my first job was working at Treeland. Second job was working at 31 Flavors. You know what I mean? And it's like, you progress, and you next thing you know, you don't want to work. You drop out of school. You start doing certain things because you find yourself making more money in that type of realm of selling pot. But it's weird to look at it and understand the perspective of it and going, damn, it's like I didn't understand the ripple effect that I was creating already at that
and
age.
What era was this? Is it 80s?
No, this is 1994, 1995.
Okay.
So, damn, that's years ago, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
because I was in the skate scene in the 80s.
Right.
Tommy Guerrero, Rob Roscoff, all those
guys. You
did
Caballero and everybody.
Jesse Martinez,
all those guys.
Yeah, so I was in right around that time. But so you say you got into pot and started getting that quick money, and where did I lead you to?
It's kind of weird because as we'll touch lightly. Obviously we go back and forth between the movie because people will see the movie and say how true was that, or how much do they relate to that, to seeing that, or your parents or anything like that. I started growing pot because my father was growing pot. So he taught me at an early age. By the time I was 13, this is how you grow pot.
Oh, you had the game.
Yeah. So, and my dad was a botanist. So it's like, this is what you're gonna do. This is how you're gonna grow it. This is the way. I'll show you different types of ways and show you the different kinds of. Back then it was like indica and neckweed. We remember sticks and pebbles and everything else, right? And didn't realize the gravitation of where I was going in that sense, how fast I was soaring at an early age of the downfall kind of scene. And it's strange because I thought that was the right way because your father's teaching you, So this is my father teaching me how to, I guess basically, I don't know. I feel like somewhat youth was kind of stripped out of me. You know what I mean? I guess that's
you got to grow up quick.
You got to grow up quick type styles, and so. Doing that, and at that time we were still in the valley, San Fernando Valley. That's where I was, born and raised at. And then when my parents did split up, we jumped around a little bit in, San Fernando Valley. Then we ended up going to Santa Barbara. Okay. Hence the reason why I was in Santa Barbara, and where the crime ended and everything else over there. And so it's kind of strange to grow up with a father that was a father. You're looking at a person, you're emulating that person, but he's teaching you kind of like, this is how to be almost like a drug dealer, you know, but not in that sense. It's because it's like, you know his background, you know, it's like he's kind of like this old hippie, and you want to, like, I love you, Dad, I want to, but you look up to him and you're like, oh shit, this is the completely wrong way of teaching a kid how to grow up. And so, you know, jumping back and forth between those things and playing the parents, but basically, if I got in trouble in Santa Barbara, I'd go to my mom's house. You know what I mean? I'd stay down there and I'd run amok and through the valley, get in trouble, and I'd run back up to my dad's house. Back and forth. So I'd play the parents, right? So, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. I mean, or if you don't have any parents, I mean, or you have one single parent or something like that, I mean, that's a, you know, it's, you grow up. A lot of people, it
could be your parents or your grandparents.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. And so, and then sometimes we find friends' parents more of your parents as well. And because they'll start asking you questions like, so what are you doing with your life? And you don't know how to answer the questions. You're like, well, I know how to grow pot. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so hence the reason why I was in pot and stuff like that. But to cut it and try to limit it down, I ended up, let's see, I was like 18 years old, I think, at the time. And we were living in Santa Barbara and I got a DUI. And I lost my, you know, obviously you lose your license, you lose your car and stuff like that. So I'm back down in like LA skating at like Platte and Victory, you know what I mean, West Hills area, and some dude rolls up behind me, you know, that's my crime partner, you know, and a dude that I grew up with. And so he takes me to his place, and we're kind of seeing, I get to see all this, from not seeing him for like 10 years or something like that, you get to see a person, what he has, right? The things that you value or you want to value, and what you think the materialistic things that you go, oh my God, I want that lifestyle. And regardless of me just nickel and diming, you know what I mean, just putting, you know, nickels and dimes in your pockets, you know, just selling, you know, weed here and there. I graduated through this dude to selling mass quantity of pot. And so it was a short turnaround. I think it was like 90 days or something like that, or I think whatever, and we got caught for this hot crime, you know, and then we, you know, and it was, I think the weird thing about it is, and I know I'm cutting a lot of things out and stuff like that, and it's just for the fact that because I do know that people are still on the inside, and still, you know, having their chance to get out and stuff like that, and I don't want to hinder anything for anybody for that. So, and it's kind of ironic to look in hindsight, because everything in hindsight is we're 2020.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so I'll try to channel myself where I was at that stage, at that young age, where that DGAF attitude, you know, you don't give a fuck. And
well, you know, it's crazy too when you look back at that, and I think back like, man, if you had somebody, you could have seen the people you were with and how much they impact.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm like, God, man, what was I thinking, man? You know?
It's weird because when you do think, of course, like when you look at it, you're like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
You know, like who was, like what value was I bringing to life? You know what I mean? Or, you know, I was merely existing.
Well,
when you look at that.
And you look at your age, and you look at, like, you know, when I always tell young people today, I mean, like, you don't know nothing.
No.
You don't know nothing, man.
No,
you
don't.
think you know something, you're doing all the stuff, but man, you're just a baby, man.
It's so weird because you get inside, you start learning, basically. You start learning because you want to learn. I hope people want to learn when you get on the inside. I hope you want to sit down and read books. I hope you read physics. I hope you read the shit that we lacked, you know, growing up. Because did you go to school? Did you graduate?
Yeah.
All right. See, I graduated 2005 in Pleasant Valley. You know what I mean? Through a GED. That's like because I dropped out of high school because I thought I was way cooler than everybody else. It's like, that's a lame shit to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, stay in fucking school, get it done, go to 4-year college, and not go to a CC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do something for yourself. And it's weird because when I got to prison, that's when I started seeking me. Like, what can I fulfill what's inside here? You know what I mean? Instead of that environment of taking that environment and learning that environment, which is, you know, we talked about, you know, the false sense of reality. But I feel like, I'm gonna jump back a little bit. So when my crime was happening, you look back at it, you go, man, that's not me. You know what I mean? That was never me. That's never been me. So it's like when you look back, even when we were young kids, that was never me. You know, that's me acting out, or that's me, you know, projecting insecurities, projecting, you know, I'm afraid, projecting fear, projecting, you know, putting my wall up and rebelling against life because I'm afraid to be an adult or adult actions. you know?
That makes a lot of sense, man.
So, and that's in hindsight, right? That's when we're looking back in hindsight. So, but putting yourself back in that scenario, for myself, you know, I was a great kid. I thought I was a great kid, you know? I mean, if you talk to people, people are like, dude, you're always sweet, you're always loving, you're caring. But I think I was a people pleaser, you know? I was that type of person that wanted to associate with everybody and have a good time, party, smoke weed, drink alcohol, get fucked up, and skate, try to surf as much as I possibly can, you know, and instead I went the other route, found a concrete jungle. You know?
That doesn't really make you a bad person, because, you know, even coming from like a decent background, you can still make the wrong choices. Yeah, I mean, I was a straight A student, dude. I got I could say maybe in my whole school career from elementary, maybe 5 Bs. Right. Straight A student, man. I fucking going to school was easy for me. I took Spanish. I had like trigonometry in like 10th grade. I was, but then it's like I felt like, oh, you know, I got around a certain demographic and I wanted to be a part of something. I was trying to find my identity. Right. Just like you're like, I'm a skate man. I want to be a professional skateboarder. I used to watch Tony Hawk, all these guys. I used to BMX, do all this freestyling stuff. But then it wasn't cool in the hood, so I kind of like, well, where do I fit in?
That's so weird. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, I didn't have a dad telling me how to play, sports, to do this or go to school to be an architect. So I was just like doing anything, trying anything, you know what I mean? And then, you get caught up in something, and by then it's like, dude,
a little too late.
It's too late. Yeah. So, shit can happen, man. I tell you, even the people with the best households, it takes one time, man, and it could change your life.
Oh, and it snap of fingers. I mean, it's almost like a car crash, you know what I mean? It's like super slow.
Yeah.
Like car crashes happen so fast, like bam, and it's like, but when they're happening, it's like you can almost see the car coming. You're like, oh shit, this is going down. Like I'm about to, and it seemed like that was the same way. I felt like growing up in San Fernando Valley, we weren't rich. We didn't have we're mediocre type family, you know what I mean? But thought everything was good until, one day, hey, divorce. You're like, oh shit, slap in the face, like people, and then it splits the whole family up. People start taking sides and stuff like that. It was an ugly divorce. Don't blame my life on the divorce, excuse me. Let me just phrase that, okay? So, but that's where a lot of that, my rebellion started, because I didn't know how to gravitate to understand my feelings at that early on at that age. And so I projected so much, just vomiting up, just nasty lifestyle, getting fucked up and doing that stuff. And, my sister was having drug problems and her issues in her life. And so it's like you seek, like you were talking about, like you seek that, who can I relate to? Who can I attach myself to, and then, project into what I think I should be, or who I should be.
Trying to simulate an identity.
Right, and you're trying to find your identity. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point, right? I mean, that's still to this day, people are still trying to find their identity. That's I mean, you could be 35 years old and you're still trying to find your identity.
You don't know who you are.
You don't know who the fuck you are. Yeah. And so, being 19 and facing death penalty case, being 20, being shipped into an isolation cell for 2.5 years, and doing all that stuff, and fighting your case and doing all that stuff. I look back at it and I'm like, there's that old Buddha saying, I tell this to people all the time. Say this, you don't know where you're supposed to be at, look down at your feet. You know what I mean? I mean, you're right there where you're supposed to be. And that's such a fucked up thing to say. Yeah. Like it is, because there's times where I can tell you, man, every brick inside your, inside your cell. You know what I mean? And every crack. You know when the mouse comes in. You know how to feed. You become friends with home. You know what I mean? And it's like, and those are the things that you shouldn't be learning at 19. You shouldn't be learning at 20. Those are things that you should be in college.
How do you keep your mind right, man? I mean, facing the death penalty, dealing with your case, as far as without getting into details, like how were you able to sustain like just your sanity, man, like with all these different pressures that are coming at you?
God, I mean, the best saying that I can say, I mean, through the county and stuff like that, I read a lot. I read anything. I read everything from sci-fi to, like I said, like you just try to read everything you possibly can to intake the information that, knowing that I lack, like having a conversation with somebody, having an intellectual conversation. Are you able to have that adult conversation with somebody? And if you can't, then it's like, I didn't know how to do that at a young age. You know what I mean? I could sit there and be like, yeah, blah, 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 and bullshit myself or bullshit my way through it. But not to have an actual sit down and have an intellectual conversation with you. You know what I mean? It could have been like, hey, what's up, homie? How you doing? All right, what's cracking? All right, cool, blah, 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 bye. You know, you're bullshitting. And so I sat in that place and I read. I remember people would walk by and be like, why aren't you working out? You know, it's like, oh, I'll get it. You know, don't worry. I'll get my time in. And I'd read.
Now, being that young going into the system, man, were you pressured into trying to associate with certain cliques or become a part of certain things? Because I know, like, people see, oh, this guy's a young dude, we can kind of,
manipulate.
There's a lot of that going on.
Oh, there's constant manipulation. I think even between that society and that environment, and we've touched lightly on it about the false reality part to it. I mean, it's such a false reality. It's like, you're white, you hang out with your homies. You know what I mean? If that's your hood, if you're from SFE, you're going to be an SFE car.
Right, yeah.
You know, you got your homeboy over there, that's your homeboy. It's like, dude, I don't know that dude from 2 Squirts of Piss. You know, it's like, how do I even, you're just getting pushed into that category. So, and that is, that's something for me where I have to, it was hard for me. So I always kept a very thin line. And it's like hi and bye constantly. It's like, hey, what's up, guys? All right, cool. And I push. And my case was so high notoriety, obviously. And, we were deemed, like no good, basically, after a while, after 2005 when the movie came out. Because a lot of us, we got interviewed. You're not supposed to interview. You're not supposed to talk to people. You're not supposed to talk to a director. You're not supposed to talk to, like I had, I don't want to put, Justin and everybody in this situation or anything like that, but it's like, you get interviewed by these people and you sit down with these people for 8 hours and you sit there and you talk about this situation. They try to figure out who you are in that small of a time, you know what I mean, between, the director and Timberlake, because I know, Fernando Vargas went and visit certain, his role in that film. I know that person visited that person in his role.
They're trying to figure out that.
Figure out that role. And so it really fucked us all up. You know what I mean? In the end, it did. It fucked us up. For the system, kind of, I guess, in that sense. Or the political side. Do you see what I'm saying? That political side, that people who are forced into going into that environment, as what you were just talking about, like being a peer pressure of who you need to associate, what car is it? Yeah, you're going to ride with this car, you're going to ride with that car. And, it's just, it was an experience, I'll never go back. That's one thing I made a vow, like I would never go back to that environment ever again. And it's very, being put in those situations made you realize like how much you hate prison. So to find myself and how I was grounding myself, you're asking, I was grounding myself by just knowing that this is false. This is not gonna be my lifestyle. This is not who I am. So I told that every day. Every time someone told me like, hey, you're a lifer, you're like, no, I'm not a lifer. I knew I was a lifer. I knew I had a life sentence. I knew I had a 7 in life, but I don't accept it.
That's right.
So I put that air, I put that manifest, I put that, the law of attraction, you know what I mean? We all push that, we push this energy out, we push it. And I believe it. So many people would hate, you know what I mean? Like, fuck that dude, and fuck you, you know what I mean? Fucking don't want to be around you, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's funny because I sit around with people who I care and love with, and they're always like, how are you so positive every single day? And it's like, because we lived in so much hatred. You know what I mean? So much in that environment where it's like, it's so much negativity.
Well, when you say that, I recall like a guy used to see me going to a law library all the time. And he's like, why you go to law library? I said, man, I'm trying to learn the laws, man. He's like, but you did the crime, right? I'm like, yeah. He said, you got caught, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, why don't you just do your fucking time? I said, why don't you do your fucking time, man? Yeah. And he looked at me and I'm like, so what's happening? And we were about to go at it right there because
for nothing.
For nothing. So I'm like, that's the mentality, dude.
Hey.
He's doing time. He's going on the yard. He's in the dope game. He's in the prison. He wants me to be like doing what he's doing. And like you said, so when you got people like you think these are your homies, they don't want to see you win.
They don't want to see you succeed.
No.
They don't want to see you even get out. So every time I was told, they're like, oh, you're under that old law, 7 to life. Yeah, you're going to be at due 34. You're like, damn, bro, what? Because you have 25 in right now, I'm going to do 34?
Yeah, they want you to do more than that.
Damn, bro. It's like, what the fuck? You know? And that was something, there's no, certain people had a value to pick you up. Some people wanted to strip you down. You know what I mean? And then, I played sports inside that environment. I played soccer. I didn't care who was. You know what I mean? I played basketball. I played. I'm not gonna waste 6'4" the height. You know what I mean? Come on, man. The Great White Hope. the basketball field. but couldn't shoot a basketball in my life though. But no, soccer, handball, anything that I can do to stay physical, working out, that mental game, all of it, I did it. And that's what helped me stay away from a lot of, you know what I mean, all the bullshit, the dope gang, politics, and you know how to work out. And there's a few people who would take you under your wing and you kind of just like go to them, you go to talk. And I just remember like, there was some great positive people. You know, we leave people behind who are never going to see daylight that you pray for every single day, that you wish you can just say, man, I wish I'd have
could take you out with me,
yeah, bro. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And there's dudes who are doing 2 to 3 years going like, oh my God, that dude does not go back to the streets. You know what I mean? You're like, what are you gonna go back to the streets? Dude, please don't go back to the streets. And I'm sorry, I'm just being real. It's it's like, there's sometimes where you just have to reflect and work on yourself. And there's people who don't work on themselves in that environment. And that's their thing. Yeah. That's not my inventory to take their inventory. You know what I mean? You know, so, and I just stayed to myself, made a couple solid friends that you work out with, you play sports, you play chess with, you play pinochle with, you trade books with, those are the things. So you keep sending. And luckily enough, man, I mean, and this is a blessing in disguise. And I remember my mom, my aunt, I can get emotional over that shit, they rode with me all the way through. They visited me, they stuck with me, I never asked, like in the beginning they started asking for, you get the package and stuff, but then you start learning your own hustle. You know what I mean? You start learning how to freaking do certain things and you start surviving in that environment. So you're able to support yourself, and because you don't want to keep taking away from people who were
on the street living their life.
Right, living their life. Yeah. And so, and it's the hardest thing is always knowing that what your parents did for you, like your mom and my mom, my aunt, right? And my dad would come down every once in a while and stuff like that, but dude, they drive from San Fernando, the 5, and if anybody who lives in Southern California, they ship you straight way upstate. Oh, yeah, you know what I mean? Anybody from North, and then anybody in North, and Northern California, they ship you all the way down to fucking, way down here, you know? So, and they make the families go and
well, it's meant to break the family structure up.
And it's meant to break you. And that system, we know it's meant to break you. I mean, it's a way of a psychological breakdown.
Well, anytime you talk about the phone call for like 15 minutes of like $10, $15.
Yeah, and not only just that though, it's like, and then sometimes you're just trying to talk to them like you're trying to fit so much in that 15 minutes and you don't realize you just wasted a time of how selfish fucking you are of talking about what's going on in this environment instead of saying, how's your day? Can you tell me a little bit of piece about life? Remember back in the days when you were able to get packages from the family? Remember that? Like you didn't have to go through vendors. You know how many times you used to open that package up and you used to smell your clothes because
actually, I was in the Fed. We never.
You never got that, right? Yeah. So state you're able to get it.
Yeah, right? You get packages.
And for that little session of how we had it before, because I went in when Davis was still governor. When he was telling me if anybody had life sentence or anybody had a body on them, you're going home in a pine box. So it's like I already had that notion like, damn, I'm never gonna go home. In that sense, right? But I stayed so positive, thinking like, boom. Then Dave wasn't there. Then it was Schwarzenegger. Then it was, back to Brown. And it was just like Brown's a gift to everybody in the system. Everybody could understand that because he's the one who wrote the law, like why we had. Why am I forgetting the word? Come on, lawyer over here. Intermediate the law where you get 7 to life. In the 15 to life, because he wrote that law. He's the one who gave that, and then
actually gave you a date.
But not only that, but gave you the law. He's the one who wrote that. So it was like you get the 7 to life, the 15 to life, the 10 to life or 25 to life. But he was saying that that law got so abused. Guys who were doing the 7 to life ended up doing 24 years or 34 years. Where you're supposed to just do 7, or maybe if you were fucking up, then double your time or whatever, and then you have a chance to still get out.
Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of people, our prisons got so overcrowded. I mean. I was in when 177,000 inmates in the state of California, just male inmates. Like sleeping on floors, sleeping on everywhere.
That's crazy.
And man. Insane. And then knowing that we had a war going on after they, our towers got hit, we got attacked or whatever. I mean, whatever people's beliefs are about that. And so, and I remember sitting there listening to it at 6 o'clock in the morning in isolation in the county. I was sitting there and listening to the radio, and then we were deploying everybody to Afghan, for the Afghan war. And it turns out that we have 188,000 deployed, men and women. in the Army. That's our fleet on the floor over there. I mean, that was insane to do the structure and the math that here in the state of California, that we had 177,000 people at that time, just alone in prison. And that's where it's like, I don't want to be a statistic, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a fucking statistic. And so I think that's also helped me. Like when you're saying you're grounding yourself, you're bringing yourself back down to earth. Like, so it's like when I went into prison and all that stuff. And
So you did a lot of reflecting.
Constantly. And another thing is like, and I'll speak, Nicholas Markowitz, his life should never be lived in vain. You know what I'm saying? So whatever I can do possibly to give back to society or give back to the youth or like talking like this. We've been battling this for about a year now. Remember when we first contacted?
Yeah.
And I was like, and I backpedaled and I was like, nah, I was didn't know how to take it. And but yeah, so and that's what that, you know, never want to live that young man's life in vain ever in my life. So what helped me also to keep me grounded and go back to is what my mom said to me. She's like, stay out of trouble and educate. You know what I mean? Right before I was leaving upstate. And I said, do me one favor. She said, what's that? I said, never forget me. Because I knew I had a life sentence. And she never did. And so that's the emotional part to it. That's the side that I knew in my heart that was like, damn, you know, like I'm gonna come home. You know, I'm gonna make it.